Hey, it's Alan, and I just wanted to let you know that you can now listen to the ongoing history of new music early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. Before we begin, I want to let you know about a new show from Curious Cast that I think you might really enjoy. It's called Russia Rising. Putin's Russia has been accused of using internet trolls and hackers and even assassins to influence the West. This new investigative podcast hopes to unravel this giant mystery with the help of those who know best: Russian trolls, hackers, Putin supporters, even a former Russian KGB agent. Join Europe Bureau Chief of Global News, Jeff Semple. He goes on a journey to unravel how Russia has gone from tenuous ally to a potential global threat. You can listen to Russia Rising for free at curiouscast.ca or wherever you're enjoying the ongoing history of new music. Do it. Trust me, you'll love it.
This is me talking to Nathan Folllowill, the drummer for Kings of Leon.
This is a good year, actually, for Southern rock. I mean, you know, My Morning Jacket comes along, a critically acclaimed album. You guys come along with your fourth record, and again, everybody's just freaking over it. What is it about Tennessee and Kentucky these days?
I don't know. I think it's everyone's starting to wake up and realize that there's some good music that comes out of the South of America, I guess. You know, anyone ever ask you where your band's from, whatever you say Tennessee, they automatically think, oh, Southern rock, or Leonard Skinner, or Allman Brothers, but I think us and My Morning Jacket, we're kind of giving Southern rock a different face, I guess.
Noel Gallagher would say that there's been a shift, a fundamental shift in the sound of the band from albums 1, 2, and 3 and this record.
Isn't that the point? Aren't you supposed to change a little?
Well, not if you're Oasis.
Yeah, or you could just make the same record over and over. I mean, if that works for you. But no, we were so young when we started that it's not like we went in and intention, okay, this next record has to be completely different from the last one. It was just us growing musically. I mean, my little brother Jared was 15 when we did the first record. And so he's 21 now, so obviously your style is going to change a little. You're going to get better, hopefully, at your instrument. And I think that's why our records have changed so much from one to the next. Just, it wasn't really a conscious thing to, change drastically. It was more of, we've changed as people and musicians, and our musical influences have changed, and this is pretty much the end result.
There's more where that came from. This is part 2 of Kings of Leon, in their own words.
This is the ongoing history of new music podcast with Alan Cross.
Someone like you and all you know and how you speak. Countless lovers under cover of the street. You know that I could use somebody.
Kings of Leon with one of the songs from their Only by the Night album, which came out in 2008. And this is a band who really did become somebody over the last couple of years. Hello again, I'm Alan Cross, and this is the second half of a show where all 4 guys in Kings of Leon tell their own story in their own words. I had a chance to talk to all 3 Folllowill brothers and their cousin Matthew. Good dudes. On part 1, we got as far as the second album, Aha, Shake, Heartbreak, which came out in 2005. Let's get Nathan Folllowill to finish up with that record.
Okay, so that's the first album. The second album comes along, and what changes?
We had been to Europe and the UK and experienced, the crazy times, because over there, we were big from day one over there.
Why is that?
I think they were kind of fascinated with the story, the way we were raised and how the whole good versus evil. We grew up, preacher's sons, and now we're out doing stuff that preacher's sons shouldn't do. But yeah, in between the first and second record, we just toured a lot and experienced the highs and the highs of rock and roll, and that produced Aha Shake, the second record, which was pretty much about boozing and drugging and women and all that good stuff.
I would love to go home with you and hang out in the cafe on Main Street.
You buy me a couple of drinks and it just might happen, buddy.
Third album comes along. Where's the band go from there?
Third album, we kind of had to take a look in the mirror at ourselves. Well, we came home off a tour and our mom busted out crying when she saw us. We were all super skinny and pale and been doing way too much stuff that we shouldn't have been doing, and she was like, I don't even recognize my boys, I don't know. And so it just took, one of us was kind of like, we're home now for a couple of weeks, let's just chill out, settle down. Then another one was like, you know what, well, if you're going to chill out for a while, then I will. So we all kind of just helped each other out and quit doing most of the stuff we were, and just tried to focus on the music, and went in and made Because of the Times. Made it at home in Nashville, so it was a little more chill. We weren't.
Which studio did you use?
Blackbird.
Okay, I don't know that one.
The best.
Because I was with the Three Doors Down guys at Ocean Way.
Ocean Way, that's a good one. That was that used to be the spot, but now Blackbird is just
really
insane. Yeah, so we did the third record at home, and we're in LA, tempted by all the stuff that goes on. I mean, LA, you find yourself rushing through the day because there's always a new club opening or a cool bar, or your friends that live there want to hang out because they never get to see you. So the record kind of, gets put on the back burner because you're just wanting to enjoy being in LA and hanging out. But doing the record in Nashville, there's stuff to do, but it's not in your face like a New York or an LA or a place like that. So we really just got to focus on the music and the kind of record we wanted to make, and that was Because of the Times.
This was a single from Because of the Times. It's called On Call.
Be there waiting. I'm on call. So be there, one and all.
The track is On Call from the third Kings of Leon album, Because of the Times. Because of the Times. 5 syllables again. That's the Kings of Leon rule for every album title. It must have 5 syllables. Remember how Kings of Leon records initially did better in Europe than in North America? Because of the Times debuted at number 1 in Russia, which was news to the band, I guess.
I found it rather interesting that Because of the Times debuted at number 1 in Russia.
Really?
Yeah. That's the word that when the album came out, it on the Russian charts, for whatever that's worth, number 1.
Wow.
We always said we wanted to break into Russia. I think it's because we like Russian prostitutes so much. I think
Listen, they
probably took it back to their native land and was like, you got to check these guys out.
Listen, they send over strippers here by the crate load, so.
Really?
Oh,
We'll
if
talk.
you stick around.
We'll talk afterwards.
I got a couple places for
All
you.
right.
Here's another track from Because of the Times. It's called Knocked Up.
And the dogs say don't know where we're gonna go. I'm a ghost and I'll be the quiet know where we're gonna go.
Kings of Leon from their third album, Because of the Times. That's the lead-off track, Knocked Up. Kings of Leon are one of those rare commodities, a band that was allowed to become successful the old-fashioned way. They grew slowly. They were allowed to find a sound, find a fan base, and then grow that fan base. The label didn't panic or threaten them or otherwise freak out. They just let things happen. All this patience really paid off with the fourth album, Only by the Night. We heard this clip on the last show, but it's worth hearing again.
So we're a bunch of albums into what looks like a very sustainable career. And it's rather interesting with you guys because you start with an EP, you release a bunch of albums, and you're allowed to develop as a band, which is unusual because, let's face it, a lot of bands these days, you get one album, 1 or 2 singles, and out. Mm-hmm. It's I guess it must be some pretty cool vindication. Leave us alone, let us develop, let us build a fan base, and we'll turn this into a monster.
Well, it's especially now when the things that are happening in our career and things that that, like you say, a lot of bands don't get to do. For us, it's so much sweeter, because we worked our way to where we are now. You have a lot of bands that come out and they have this one flute pop hit and they're playing, these big venues on their first album, and then their second album tanks and they're gone. And for us, it's album 4 before we get to play these places. So we worked our way up, and we've waited for this moment, and we've prepared for it. And so, I mean, I don't know if the record label did it on purpose. I think just the way that we made records and the way that they would be surprisingly successful in certain places, and then other places they would just kind of under the radar. So they kind of had to let us develop, because they didn't want to drop us from the label when they knew they were guaranteed 500,000 sold in the UK and Australia and all this,
And that's the interesting thing too, is because your first seed of success it wasn't in America, it wasn't in North America, it was in the UK and Europe, which is a bit unexpected for a band from Tennessee.
Yeah, especially considering when we first came out, the sound that we were producing was, we thought that the South was going to be the only place that would actually get it. And the South was one of the last places to get it. And there were these kids in Ireland that would be singing our songs, and we were just like, I didn't know how they could understand what I was saying. But yeah, it was just a crazy thing. And I mean, I definitely think there was some luck involved. But after that all passed, we really worked, and every time we write a song, every time we make an album, we all sit down and we kind of talk about what we want to do next and what we want to do that we haven't done before.
I think our backstory kind of kept their attention long enough for them to realize, besides the fact that there are 3 brothers and a cousin and were raised on the road by a preacher father, I think the story definitely sucked them in. But then, it kept their attention long enough to realize that, this band might have some potential to, actually make great music and be something more than just a novelty. When we first got to England, I mean, I honestly think they were surprised that we had socks and shoes on when we stepped off the plane. Like, I think they were expecting just these wild, crazy, hillbilly, redneck, guys that had never seen the world, and which we were. We just had socks and shoes on.
Here's part of the conversation I had with Nathan Folllowill about the big hit Sex on Fire.
Were you surprised at the quick success of Sex on Fire?
Very surprised. I mean, that wasn't even going to be the title. That was a joke. Like, that was, Caleb just used that lyric just as a dummy lyric until we could find something better to fill it. And everyone's like, no, man, that sounds really good. And we were like, no way, that's a joke. Sex on Fire, come on, give me a break. And somehow it stuck, and that's how it always goes. The one song that you don't want to use as a single or something like that, that's the one that usually everyone's like, yeah, man, that's the hit. So we've learned we didn't have much success on the first 2 or 3 doing it the way we wanted to do it. So this one we were like, all right, well, we'll use the single that they think would work. And they kind of know what they're talking about. So it worked out great for us.
Here's more on that same subject from Nathan.
Was Sex on Fire a last-minute addition to that record?
It wasn't a last-minute addition. It was just kind of one of those that we were all scratching our head as to whether or not, where did it fit on the album, because, it was kind of a standout song. And we went in there, like, we had recorded the song, but then one day, just goofing around, Matthew and Jared were over, while they were playing it, were over there on like this keyboard going doot, 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 and playing this little beat with it. And so they pushed record and laid it down. And once that all came together, it was like, man, this is obviously has the feel of a huge song, but where are we going to fit this on the album? So I voted for it to not make the album, but they voted me out. So that's how they do with most of our big singles. I vote for them to not be on the record just because I'm silly. But.
Kings of Leon with Sex on Fire, the big track from Only by the Night, and to think that it almost didn't make the record. So, there's the history of Kings of Leon. When we come back, we'll look at some of the stuff about the band that doesn't have to do with music. I think you'll find this interesting, especially if you like remixes and cars. So, we've pretty much covered the entire history of Kings of Leon. Here's some stuff that goes beyond their basic story. Bat for Lashes is a Pakistani-born singer who works out of the UK. In the spring of 2009, she recorded a version of Use Somebody. I've always wondered what a band thinks when someone else records one of their songs.
Have you heard the Bat for Lashes cover of Use Somebody?
I just heard it the other day.
No, I just got it sent to me.
Oh, what do you think of it?
I think it's pretty cool.
You know, church organ, tambourine, and that voice of hers?
Yeah, I love Bat for Lashes. Yeah, I thought it was great. There's been quite a few, though. Like Lee did one of Knocked Up, which is maybe my favorite. It's really, really...
She's the Swedish singer, yeah.
You should check that. That's probably one of the best covers anyone's ever done.
And then we've had a bunch of people do remixes for us. Like CSS did one, and a few other really cool people.
What would they remix?
The Bucket.
Oh, okay.
It's cool. They totally did their own interpretation of it, too. Like, it's none of the original music whatsoever.
Justin
it's all
Timberlake.
Like really beach vibey.
Justin Timberlake did one.
Pharrell did one.
Mark Ronson.
We usually, a lot of people submit remixes to us, but we usually only choose the ones that are completely different. Mm-hmm. And usually it's someone that isn't, you know, in a rock band or anything like that. We kind of want something different. Because it's pretty interesting when you write a song and you hear someone else, you know, give their interpretation of it. It's pretty,
and we're gonna try to be the first band that makes more publishing money off of remixes and covers than we actually did the original songs.
It's just weird sometimes if you're having a party at your house or something like that. You kind of feel embarrassed to play your own songs. So the only way you can do that is to play remixes of your own songs, you know, to let people know, like, look, you're in my house. We're listening to my music, you know.
I think Depeche Mode's probably in first place in the remix department.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
they released a whole album, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, I got tons of bootlegs, tons and tons of bootlegs of all these weird remixes that sound absolutely nothing like the originals.
We're going to try to do that. If that can get us out of it, if that can be counted as one of our albums, we'll do it.
That would be. You know what? That would be cool. Just a collection of Kings of Leon remixes done by our favorite people. That would be cool.
And then we'll release our own music because we'll be out of the record deal.
What about collaborations? Here's Nathan Folllowill again.
Is there anybody that you'd like to collaborate with?
Man, that's a tough one. Probably,
because Jack White did the whole Loretta Lynn thing, which really worked out well.
Yeah, that was cool. I don't know. We like Radiohead a lot. That'd be fun just to get freaky, experimental with those guys. See what would come out, because you got the whole Southern country boy thing, and then they're the total opposite of that. So that'd be a nice little.
Tom York just posted a remix that he's dedicating to Barack Obama. So I don't know where you lie politically, but you'd have to probably wrestle Tom over certain political stances.
I retired my Obama button the day after the election. I wore it pretty. I was pretty strong. We're a very happy band in the direction that America's going right now.
I don't know why anybody would ever want that job, but man, the dude's got some issues ahead of him.
Oh man, I was talking to my girl, and I was like the day after, I'm like, I wonder if he woke up and was like, what the hell have I done?
No.
Like, you know, it's like getting the hottest girl in school, then you get her in the car, and it's like, oh man, okay, I've got her here now. What the hell do I do with her? So he's got a tough road ahead of him, but he can't do any worse. I mean, you know, things can only get better. I mean, so we'll see how it goes.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with music, because usually during Republican administrations, young people are pissed off about something, so they get aggressive and angry.
Yeah.
Right, and rock tends to be really, really strong. You get a Democrat, usually during times of optimism, music gets a little lighter and poppier and people kind of dance.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting situation. A guy comes in, first African-American president. He's a Democrat, but he's fighting a war on two fronts, and the economy is in the crapper. the expectations on this guy are really, really high. The optimism really, really high. So it's going to be interesting to see how music evolves.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of urban music with flutes and harps and, you know, uplifting, angelic sounding, but with an urban undertone to it. I don't know. I think music will be fun. I mean, you know, that made us so sick as a band. All these bands reviving their careers by these political anti-Bush songs and you know, you're a band, you're a musician, you make music. You're not a politician, you know. I think Bill Clinton was the only president that I would want to see play a musical instrument, and that's because he could play a saxophone, but I don't want to see George Bush playing the drums, so I really don't want to see a band writing a song based on, you know, the situation, or especially a band that's just trying to revive their career. So early on, we never kind of fell into that. We didn't want to, you know, be one of those bands. We waited till it that became uncool to do that, and then, you know, we put a couple lyrics in a couple of songs that could have been taken as political, but, you know, it's just, you know, it was time for a change, and it happened, and buckle up, here we go.
Okay, let's go back to that idea of remixes and covers. Here's that Bat for Lashes cover of Use Somebody. See what you think.
Someone like you. Someone like you.
Bat for Lashes with her interpretation of Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. So, what do you do when you're a young guy in a band who has suddenly come into some money and you can now buy anything you want? Maybe you buy a cool car or two.
Who here is the gearhead? Who likes cars?
Matthew and Jerry.
Those two.
Yeah? Okay. Let's talk about cars.
Okay.
What do you got?
I got 2008 Z06, you know, Corvette.
Okay.
I got a bunch of motorcycles, 3 Harleys. We got a V-Rod Muscle, Nightster, and a 88 Sportster chopper.
Why'd you go for the ZR6?
Wasn't that expensive and is really fast, so I just thought it would be good. I don't know, first sports car.
It's a good American muscle, built in Bowling Green, so.
Totally, it's right up the road. Next will be like a 68 fastback Mustang for sure. There's one in the garage right now outside this place.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a GTR 2009.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Sorry, no disrespect to vet owners, but GTR is a hell of a car.
Yeah, it's fast.
Yeah, we live in America, lots of straight roads, so, you know, we'll see.
So it doesn't beat him that bad.
Yeah, but it's got cooler gear on the inside. It's like a video game driving that car.
Oh, definitely. It's got tons of cool stuff in there. It's great for just if it wasn't even fast, it's still a great car. Like with all the stuff, it's got 2 Bose subwoofers and stuff like that. It's got a great sound system, which is cool for listening to mixes and stuff. And then I got a motorcycle too.
I'm happy with my 81 Datsun. It's still got 412,000 miles on it.
You're not kidding. You have an 81 Datsun with Okay. You're never really sure.
Now we're talking cars. No offense, GTR.
Every guy has got his 10-car garage. What else? Okay, you got the GTR and the Vet. What else would you put in there?
Aston Martin,
Ford GT.
Mercedes McLaren.
Oh God,
You guys are serious.
Thinking about it, affordable things. I don't know.
If it's just like a dream garage, then
Oh yeah, Bugatti, Koenigsegg,
Isuzu Rodeo.
69 Camaro.
No, I want to get an old
Chevy
Stingray
Boy.
with the split back.
old Jaguar.
The back window that's split. See, I don't know shit about cars neither. I just know when I see something I like, I'll buy it.
I call shotgun. You can play your R&B tune. The fellowship time, it always comes a little too soon. The land of the creek.
17 from Kings of Leon. And that is the story of Kings of Leon, as told by Kings of Leon. More of these shows as we go on. All the technical stuff is by Rob Johnston. I'm Alan Cross.
You've been listening to the Ongoing History of New Music podcast with Alan Cross. Subscribe to the podcast through iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and everywhere you find your favorite podcasts.